often spoken with practitioners over the years, and we talk a lot about doing the work and doing it well. And one of the things that many people come back to is this question of how to have a great conversation and what quality questions might look like. It's been a big dilemma, because very skilled practitioners have it baked into who they are and what they do. But particularly people who are coming fresh to the work or who maybe want to even re-inspire or reimagine their work, it really helps sometimes to have some tools that take the guesswork out of having a great conversation. And I think we found the antidote to that particular dilemma, and it's called Let's Talk Community. So this was developed by a dear friend of mine, Zizi, and Zizi will be interviewed on our podcast very, very soon, and it's called, as you'll know, The Connected Community. What I think is really interesting about what Zizi has created is she's created a way to be in relationship in community, and also a way the community can be in relationship with each other. So it really democratizes the conversations that so often are facilitated for us or mediated for us by well-intentioned facilitators or outsiders or practitioners. What I wanted to share with you today, and I'm really excited by this, is Zizi has created a Megadeck, and it deserves the name Megadeck, which basically I think covers all eventualities around conversations that, broadly speaking, bring us into deeper relationship with each other. I'll just see if I can show you with my clumsiness. There we go. I'm going to open this deck so you can see it here. And it's one of the things that really strikes me about this, just how well designed it is. It's sturdy, it's beautiful. I could see this being in a family resource center, a community center. A doctor could have it in their waiting room to stimulate people not just to think about themselves as patients, but have conversations with each other, maybe get up to a little bit of mischief. But I think if you're a social worker, you could actually begin to move away from case management and think about community and the diversity of, again, you see these beautifully designed cards, and we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections which basically come. This is the theme of love, and again, you see these beautiful images. You can basically, what's fascinating about this is a lot of stuff that I've seen designed is very specific to certain cultures, but won't work in all. These will work in all cultures. They'll work around all abilities. They've been designed to be thoughtful about issues like inclusion, and right across the board, from ability to diversity in relation to ethnicity and so on, and some beautiful, beautiful questions. So on the other side of each card, you've got prompt questions. So what Zizi has is 27 years worth of practice experience, very deeply rooted in communities, with young people, with diverse communities, and with communities of place. So these are not just something that came out of a book. They're something that come from deeply rooted practice. And questions like, what do you enjoy most in our neighborhood or community that didn't exist 5 or 10 years ago? Really, really great question. And it's one of many questions I think you'll find here. It struck me as I looked through these, you see this beautiful image, buy local, so a really nice provocation. Another question, how can we instill a sense of pride in young people for their community? That's a really powerful question. So we're not just thinking about asking young people what they'd like to do with other young people, but we're inviting them to think about their contributions. So that's love. And I have to say, I love these cards. Now, that's one. Let's look at some more. Leave that there. Okay, the next one. People. Fantastic. Okay, so again, you see we got some fantastic images here. I think you could just pick any random card and you're going to find a great question. So you could even shuffle the deck and pick 3 or 4 cards and get a conversation going. So this one I've just randomly picked out is about local business owners and recognizing the statement here, beautiful, powerful statement. Local business owners are an asset. And the question, how can we nurture more relational connections that go beyond transactional exchange? Great question. So again, what we're seeing in these card decks, I think, are really very straightforward questions. You do not need to be a professional to ask or indeed to engage with these questions. They're accessible. Kids, very young kids could engage with this, and right across the spectrum, I could imagine you'd have a great intergenerational conversation. Now, one of the classic challenges we have as community builders is a lot of conversations are just located in personal development, the me conversation. So I love that Zizi has included the me to we, which is such an important part of our community work. Again, as I'm sure you have come to expect by now in this little sharing, great imagery, great quality cards, all well sourced and ethically created. And then just randomly, how can we best monitor effective collaboration? So how do we learn and how do we make sense that we're having impact in a way that really shows that we're making change happen together? Who else in this space or community might be interested in helping us? So again, really, really accessible questions that open up the prospect of collaboration and making good mischief. Now, where would we be without place? So place is where that's the stage on which all of these conversations play out. So again, great imagery. Really love the fact that it's got so much color, so much kind of animation within it. And the question around place that I've just randomly selected, what practices in your daily life best reflect your good stewardship of the environment? Great. So you see we're connecting here in these questions, the person, their gifts, their stewardship, their place. So it really says something, I think, that it's very hard to teach or learn, but you can talk about it. Here we have the future. I love the fact that this whole set is kind of taking us from love right through to legacy. So it's bookended in that way, very, very beautifully. And then in the future, we're really all, who has more investment in the future than young people? But I think we all do, regardless of our age. If we could envision our ideal community in 5 years, what key elements would be present and how would we actively cultivate those aspects today? So you see the questions are really clever because what they're doing is they're actually shaping a conversation that places the people in the conversation as doers, as makers, as creators. And that's a really telling feature of all of the questions. So you can imagine, in fact, I would challenge anybody listening to this to come up with a scenario where these cards won't have something to contribute. Now, as if that isn't enough, what you also have both physical copy here, just that this is a guide, some kind of prompter, ideas about how to actually use the Megadeck. So it takes you through all kinds of different ways that it can be used, its application, some tips on how to have conversations that are generative and are inclusive, some ideas about community involvement, community collaboration. And I think what's kind of interesting about these as well is that it isn't just for regular neighbors. I think that actually professionals would really benefit from this. We often are asked to do community work, but very rarely are we given a set of tools that help the pedagogy, the place conscious practice of community work. And we all know a lot of that has to be about our posture and our own way of being. But I think what this offers is an incredible set of resources that give you something that you can bring into your practice, and also potentially that you can gift and share with the various communities that you work with and serve. There's also an online and I'd see this as kind of a very clever addition to this box set, this Megadeck. And the online idea is that as people begin to use this, they create a community of practice, and they'll discover things that Zizi maybe hasn't thought about. But Zizi is designing it in such a way that we as peers can share those insights, can, maybe even if we invent something new, we can share that inventive idea with our fellow practitioners. And again, I love her generosity in saying, how about we just keep generating new ideas around how to use this. So I think this is endless prospects, really, and I would encourage anybody that's doing the work of community building to reach out to Zizi. We'll be putting the details online, so you're going to be able to follow up. Do check our podcast we're going to be doing very soon with Zizi, and yeah, check out her online platform, because you'll find lots and lots of other resources, really practical, simple, and affordable. That's important, resources. Last thing I'd say here is, if you're a school, I think having these sets in your library, having them, in the classrooms, would actually change the learning experience of kids. Just this one thing, having this in a classroom, in every classroom around the world, I think would change how children would experience learning and growing up. It's an incredible achievement, Zizi. Really, really proud to call you my friend. Well done. And I hope everyone goes out and gets one, because it's a cracker.